Hey guys and gals. Wanted to talk about something interesting that happened via Facebook today. A friend of mine posted, because I live in Los Angeles County, okay, a little bit north, but whatever. And there's some fires going on, small ones, medium ones, big ones. And you may or may not be aware that California kind of has like fire seasons that persist and go away and what have you. It's a deal here. We have earthquakes, but predominantly we have fires. Anyhow, recently in one of the fires, my friend posted that LeBron James, the of Lakers fan, before that was on the Rockets, whatever. He's a big NBA basketball player, worth many, many millions of dollars, probably upwards of 50 to 100 million, somewhere around that range. And he sent a food truck to the firefighters and the other people who are working to help fight the fire. And presumably, food truck was at his cost, and people there who were service members, or rather helping fight the fire, they got free, delicious food truck food. And in LA, we have our like food connoisseur like places that we go, and then we also have our love of food trucks. So it's like a win-win. It's like, oh, that's great, And also to just mention, LeBron didn't like say, "Hey, I did this." Supposedly, the mayor said that LeBron did this. Doesn't really matter. But interestingly enough, the friend posted this, and then another friend of mine commented on the post saying, well, he's a communist, so even if he does something nice, he's still a communist. And I thought that was interesting, and I didn't quite know what she meant by like just calling LeBron James a communist. Felt a bit, I don't know, extreme. So I asked her to elaborate, and she did, and she basically pointed out that not that long ago, week or 2 weeks ago, maybe a month max, there was a situation that happened predominantly with the NBA, but because LeBron James is probably one of the current top 10 most recognized NBA players in the sport, he also became kind of the voice of this. And in short, the breakdown of it is this: a coach or someone in the NBA high up, I think it was actually owner, but whatever. Let's say it was a head coach of one of the teams, posted like a pro Hong Kong post, and he on Twitter, and then he quickly took it down. But supposedly the damage was already done, and China was already upset and pissed off by this. And so the NBA rolled out the red carpet as far as their players and other coaches and their personal announcement, their corporation announcement saying, "We don't support those viewpoints. We think China is great. We appreciate," and it was all business like. It was all like, "We appreciate our business interests," and sorry we offended people in China. And it's becoming more and more apparent to me, and I hope to you and other people watching, that China is coming out of the communist China that we've known has been around for a while is coming out of the dark. It's becoming more and more actual communism. So before it was this fake pretend like we're a democracy. And I remember like 10 years ago, they called themselves the democracy of China. They may still even do that. But it's becoming more apparent now that no, they're not really a democracy. They're a dictatorship at best. But realistically, they have very communistic and suppressive policies that just squash anyone and everyone who has a different opinion and doesn't agree with what China says. So, fine, they're flexing their muscles, and the NBA is freaking out because a lot of money that the NBA generates is coming from China because China has a huge person market and they want more people in China to watch it, which helps bump their numbers, and then everyone gets paid more, blah, blah, blah. So, what I thought was interesting is that LeBron James basically stood on the side of China, and also, I'll find the link and I'll post it in here. He also supported China and supported not free speech. Something to the effect of, like, yeah, I'm not, sometimes free speech is bad, that type of concept. And that's a very ignorant thing to say, and it's also very upsetting that it's like, you're an American. You're benefiting from free speech now in what your whole life. You're utilizing the concept of free speech to say that free speech is bad. It's a bit Anyhow, so my friend, the second friend who commented on the post, her saying that he's a communist, I don't agree with that. I think that's extreme. Um, I would equate that to maybe a bad analogy, but like, let's say someone thought about burning a car, right? And maybe even talked about it with their friends. Well, until they actually burn a car, they're not an arsonist. They might have leanings, but they're not. Similarly, you're not a murderer unless you actually attempt to murder someone. I don't think you have to kill someone to be a murderer. I mean, technically, but an attempted murderer then if you're just attempting. But either way, you have to make a lot of steps to actually get there. So I would say, and what my comment was, what I actually think is happening is the NBA is a, let's say, couple $5 billion industry. And I don't know how much of it, but a good amount of it also comes from China. So they have basically a bunch of employees, which are all their players and all the people who work in the stadiums and everything else. And even though they're an American sport, they're trying to play nice to this 1.5 billion population, which China represents. So they're trying to play nice. Furthermore, I'd like to point out, and I actually want to I want to see more of this trend, is let's actually point out the companies that are in China that are benefiting from China and selling their stuff here. One of which is like a 10 or $15 billion company, is Nike. Nike, a majority of their products are made in China, and they are one of the biggest sponsors of sports, full stop. So you're telling me that this humongous company, they are applying the pressure, NBA is applying the pressure to appease China because they're afraid of all these people. And it goes back to, do I think LeBron James is a communist? No, I don't really like that. I don't, just like I wouldn't want someone to call me a Nazi because I'm not a Nazi. I might support a same thing that a Nazi supports, but if a Nazi's eating a hamburger and I'm eating a hamburger, that doesn't make me a Nazi. It also doesn't make them not a Nazi. And I know it's not the same thing, but I'm hesitant to just slap a fat label like that. Because to me, communist and communism was responsible for murdering over 100 million people within the last 100 years. And to say someone is a communist, to me, is equivalent to calling someone a Nazi. So I'm very hesitant to do that. But what I just want to ask you guys and bring to you is just being in agreement with some aspects of it, whether it's Nazism, communism, liberalism, feminism. Does it make you the whole thing, or is it just a partial? And this is part one. There was a separate thing that I'm going to talk about in a different video where I want to talk about whether or not a celebrity should be separate from what they say. Like if the roles that they play, actors in general, the roles that they play, should that be different from what they say in public, or is it one and the same? And I'd like to know what your opinion is. So if you see this and you have an opinion about it, let me know. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and chat later. Take care.